Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Joel Frame, and I am the Imperfect Dad.
He's a dad and he's super rad. Sometimes he's good and sometimes he's bad. He's the imperfect dad.
All right, let's get into it. It was a beautiful day today. We are deep into October now. I don't know what the date is. It's October 20 something. Friday was the 20th. I know that because it was my middle daughter's birthday. If you're new to the podcast, I have three daughters and a beautiful wife. Three beautiful daughters and a beautiful wife. And my middle one turned 4 on Friday. And it was a beautiful weekend of celebrating her life. Cannot believe that she's already 4. That is unbelievable to me. I can't talk about it too much or I will get choked up. And anyways, wanted to talk about today really quick. Today was an awesome day. It was beautiful. It was like mid 50s, kind of cool here in Nashville. It felt awesome. My wife went on the field trip with my oldest daughter to Pumpkin Patch, kind of farm place. And they had a blast. They had a great time. And I was at home with our now 4-year-old daughter and our almost 6-month-old daughter. And I went ahead and we met a couple of our buddies, or a couple of my buddies, but Eddie and Georgia have quickly become buddies with them as well, to play some disc golf. And man, we had a good time. We had a really, really good time. And we got outside, we walked around through the woods, we threw stuff really far, we hit a lot of trees with discs. If you haven't played disc golf, it is the greatest sport ever invented. And it is an incredible way to get your kids and your family and you all just outside walking and hiking and having fun. It's really, for me, I love this sport, but most of all, I love the community and I love just the conversation that happens walking from shot to shot and just talking about life. It's really, really great. So shout out to my homies Derek and Daryl who met us today to play and who stick with me when I've got little kids running around. And kids do great though. It's not too bad. But anyways, yeah, it was a great day. But needless to say, a lot was done. And so kids were tired at bedtime tonight. And we had 3 girls all crying about 3 different things at bedtime. And it was just one of those nights where Tracy and I had to keep kind of trading off, taking little breathers and coming back refreshed. And definitely one of those nights where I'm going to have to sleep creep after I shoot this podcast because I need some clean slates. And man, it was just one of those nights. It would kind of dragged out a little bit at bedtime. And, you know, selfishly, I'm like, it's time for you to go to bed so that I can do what I want to do. And just a lot of times as a parent, it doesn't always happen like that. And that's what we sign up for. So it's just one of those things I can't be too mad about. But I apologize too if I get a little cruddy sounding. I'm coming down with a little bit of a cold that has swept through my entire household, taken all of us prisoner, and we are all fighting to get out of that. So to the weekend, the past weekend was absolutely amazing. Like I said, Eddie Mae turned 4 years old, and I just absolutely cannot even believe it. I mean, it just seems like only yesterday that I was doing the same things that I'm doing now with Georgia, you know, trying to kind of get her up on her knees and her hands and see if she can start crawling. And Georgia's at that stage right now. It's so fun. And they just, the little smile that they give you when they're laying down on the floor is just absolutely beautiful and love it. And it just seems like only yesterday that was happening with Eddie. And so I can't even wrap my head around the fact that she's 4. But we did a bunch of celebration stuff. Her birthday was on Friday, and a tradition that we do, we started it with Nellie, our oldest. We do a thing called the birthday fairies. And I think it was my wife's friend, Emily, who, when she was growing up, her parents did this for her. And basically, the night before their birthday, when they fall asleep, do a little sleep creeping, look at your kids, They're super cute while they're sleeping, get a clean slate, refresh for tomorrow morning when they wake up. And then we hang their favorite colors, streamers and balloons all around their room. So when they wake up in the morning, they're just covered. I mean, we do it from wall to wall, from dresser to wall, across the bed, hanging from the fan, hanging from the doorway. The floor is just covered in balloons. And so when they wake up, it's a really beautiful surprise. And they think little fairies came in and decorated their room. And I love that. I think that's really magical and it's really special. So thank you, Emily. I think that was your doing, having us starting to do that. And so thank you for that. But if you don't have a little tradition like that for a birthday, it's okay, but it's a lot of fun to do. So I encourage you, do it. It's a lot of fun. Say the birthday fairies are coming. They decorated the room, and it's just a really good time. So Saturday, we had Nellie, our 6-year-old. She had her tournament, like last tournament for soccer, to see who was going to go to the championship that day. And I will get to that in a moment. That was an incredible day, incredible moment in that day. But anyways, later on that evening, we went out to the land that my in-laws just purchased about 30 minutes kind of northwest of Nashville in Ashland City, Pleasant View area. And we had just an awesome birthday party for Eddie. It was so cool. My father-in-law has a Bible study with a bunch of guys, and they were out there camping all weekend, and they had some of their kids. And so there were a bunch of little kids running around, and Eddie just had a blast. But I had kind of a dad wail. And I don't mean to say dad fail. I don't mean to say dad win, because it was kind of a mixture of both. So I have coined the term a dad wail, W-A-I-L. Because it started out as a fail and it ended as a win, which is beautiful. But it went something like this. Nellie, spoiler alert, got a trophy on Saturday. Eddie Mae did not get a trophy on Saturday because she's not on the soccer team. She didn't really understand that, and that's okay. However, she started to pitch a fit when we were out at the birthday party on the land. She started to get a little bit tired, thinking irrationally, as 4-year-olds do. And she started saying, how come I didn't get a trophy? I want a trophy. And I said, well, you weren't on the soccer team, honey, so you don't get a trophy. And she just didn't really get that concept. So I had to kind of break out the secret weapon. And so I said, but you got something else. And she said, what? We were sitting by the campfire, and I said, we got you a unicorn. And she said, because if you know her, she loves all things girly and princessy and unicorny. Okay? She loves unicorns. So I said, we got you a unicorn. She said, I want the unicorn. And I said, I know, but we're going to have to wait because it's a piñata. And she said, what's a piñata? And I said, basically, it's a unicorn. We're going to hang it up in the pavilion. There's a little pavilion on the land. We're going to hang it up from one of the rafters. And you're going to have a bat or a stick or something, and you're going to beat it until it explodes and the things inside of it fall out. And I didn't really think about that being as traumatic as it ended up being, describing that to her. And so she kind of started to go into hysteria because she said, I just want my unicorn. I don't want to hit it with a bat. I don't want to hit it with a stick. And I was like, honey, it's a piñata, right? And then I found myself trying to describe this thing to this newly turned 4-year-old. She has no concept of a piñata. We have never done a piñata before. And so I took a moment and I looked through her eyes and I thought, just think, being 4 years old and loving unicorns, and your dad, who sometimes fails, says, we're going to hang this unicorn by its neck from a rafter in a pavilion, and you're going to beat it with a PVC pipe until it explodes and its insides fall out all over the ground. Let that sink in. It sunk in for me, and I thought, wow, I should have thought through this a little bit more. And unfortunately, I didn't. And so it was a bit traumatic for her that is describing it. So I said, I just kind of did the thing where I went, it's okay, you'll get the unicorn. We'll just give you the unicorn. I did that because I knew that when it came to it, and after we sang and we ate cupcakes and all that fun stuff, and we hung it up and she saw it and the other kids were doing it, she would be down. And boy, was she ever down. She beat that thing like it owed her money. She hit it accurately, swiftly, and with a vendetta that I've never seen in a 4-year-old's eyes. I was in charge of like blindfolding the kids and then spinning them. We weren't going to blindfold them. We weren't going to spin them, but my brother-in-law, Clay, thank goodness, was like, dude, you got to do that. It's way funnier. And it was way funnier than getting dizzy and swinging. And although I think I set them up too easy because they all just like, boom, first try, smoked the unicorn, just straight up unicorn beatdown. And so I think I should have just kind of like steered him off a little bit and had him swing around. But the reason I didn't do that is because I grew up watching America's Funniest Videos when Bob Saget was the host. And about 95% of the videos on that show were dads getting hit in the family jewels, the meat and potatoes, the prized possessions, if you will. Like 95% of that show was just kids running around with bats and things and balls and hitting their dads in the balls with these things. And so that flashed, before my eyes. And so I wanted to make sure that they were in the proper trajectory. I don't even know if that's the right word to use for this. They were within whatever. They were aimed properly at this unicorn to hit it and not me. And so luckily, none of them did. It got close a couple times. I had to kind of pull some dad speed, dad strength moves and kind of ninja out of the way. But I got out of there pretty unscathed. And there was an older boy there that eventually just got sick of seeing all these little kids hit this thing with the PVC pipe. And he absolutely demolished the unicorn after a couple swings, and all of the goodies fell out, and Eddie was, yay, very excited. So that was a dad wail, because at the beginning it was a bit of a fail when I was trying to explain it to my daughter, and it turned into a win because all kinds of goodies fell out of its belly when it ripped open. So anyways, had a beautiful time celebrating Eddie's birthday. Eddie, happy birthday. You don't watch YouTube, you don't listen to this podcast, but when you become a teenager and you look back at all the embarrassing things that your dad told about you, happy birthday, buddy. Happy birthday, bucko. Love ya. Anyways, let's get to Nellie Bell. I'm a 6-year-old. 2 trophies. This was from her coach, who is also her teacher. And she had these made really sweet. It's a girl, which I love because Nellie's a girl. And then the one she got from the league because they won the tournament and then the championship. And don't laugh at the way I say tournament. That's the way you're supposed to say it. I always get a hard time. People say it's tournament. How do you say T-O-U-R? Say it out loud. Tour is what you just said. Why do you change it when it's front of nament? It's tournament. Tournament. It's not tournament. I had Google pronounce it for me, and he said tournament, and I said, hey, Google pronunciation thing, you're wrong, buddy. Okay? Anyways, I don't know a daggum thing about soccer. I know enough to know this trophy is a bit off, because if you're just listening audio, sorry, but I'll describe it to you. He's got his right leg back. And first of all, I don't like that it's a guy because Nellie's a girl, but they can't, I know the league can't really do that. So they just get all of these. But anyways, the guy has his right leg cocked back just ready to kick this ball into oblivion. However, he's kicking it with his left shin. So I don't know how that's going to work out for him. It looks like he's going to maybe Charlie Brown a bit. Kick it, or try to kick it, miss, and do a little flipperoonie. And anyways, but she got this trophy because they were in second place. They had 6 games, I think, up to this point, every Saturday for the last 6 Saturdays. And they had 1 game to win. If they won that game, they went to the championship right after. And so it was a nail biter. And people always ask me, are they just like in that little group of children just running all around in one little group after the ball, little huddle? And they actually weren't. They actually ran plays pretty well and kind of got open. The beginning of the season, they were a little bit more like that. But, anyways, they got pretty good. It was actually really fun to watch. And even for me, not being a soccer fan or not knowing anything about it, it was a blast. And that probably has a lot to do with the fact that it was my kid, but whatever. And so anyways, they were in the first game that they had to win to go to the championship. They were in second place, and it was 1-1. And they had been practicing this play called flag, I guess, where when they would have to throw it in, they would throw it to this little guy named Sal on our team who could play for the U.S. men's soccer team if he wanted to. He is a freak, a soccer freak. He plays on like a bunch of other teams. And it was just kind of like pro bono that he was playing for the Rocket Ship United Academy. He was a killer, dude. Okay? Awesome. Anyways, he would go down towards the flag, which is at the corner of the field, and they'd throw it into him. And if he was open, he would take the shot. If he wasn't, he would pass it to Nellie. Nellie was a part of the play, and she would be out over kind of in front of the goal. Well, it was 1-1, and they called flag, flag, right? So cute. These little kids calling out this little play. And they throw it in to Sal. Sal passes it to Nellie, and she boots it into the goal. And at that moment, my head exploded. I have never been more proud in my entire life. I mean that. I've never felt more pride in something ever. I turned into a maniac. That's no exaggeration. Ask any of the parents that were there. I was crying, screaming. I was down by the goal, the one goal, the other goal. I went running down through the field, through parents, hugging people, kissing babies, slapping hands that weren't even up for high fives. They were down by the hip, and I was just smacking them. I was stealing high fives, dude. I was on top of the world. I had goosebumps, or goose pimples, as my buddy Peyton calls them. Goose pimples all over my body. All over my body. My hair was standing on end. I couldn't believe it. It was her first goal this season, and it was a game-winning goal. Now, they got another one after that, but that one, whatever for that one. I mean, not whatever. That was awesome. Corey, good job, dude. But, it was the one that made it 2-1 to put us in the lead, and we won. And then we went to the stinking championship, and we won. First place, 2 hours of back-to-back soccer. That's a lot of soccer to watch. That's even more soccer to play when you're 6 years old. And they killed it. And they beat a team that beat us already. And I tell you what, that other team that we beat to take first place, dude, straight Punktown, USA. They were super cute, but there were a couple kids on the team that were watching a little too much Major League Soccer. I haven't watched a lot of soccer, but I have watched enough to know that those grown men flop like little babies. That's one of the main reasons I can't watch soccer, because I refuse to watch grown men pretend like they're hurt and fall on the ground screaming. It's ridiculous. I hate it. And there were a couple little kids that apparently watched that and loved that move. And so every time we would get the ball and we would get close to the goal, this little kid would just fall. And at one point, I kept calling it out. Yo, ref, let's stop the flop. Stop the flop. I was starting Twitter hashtag stop the flop, dog. This kid had the audacity. I'm not kidding. I was calling it out so much, he knew I was calling it out too. The one time he fell and I was down by the goal near where he fell, the ref helped him up. Whatever. And the kid looked over his shoulder at me and smiled. Like, you remember that movie Problem Child? Where like he would do something and that one person would see him doing it and he would just look at him with that smirk like, nobody's going to believe you, dude. You tell on me. He looked at me with that. He went and smirked at me. And I just, if you're listening right now on just the audio, I'm just straight scowl, dude. Mean mugging. I'm mean mugging right now. I mean, shaking my head, no. That's what I did. And then he quickly kind of straightened up and turned around. He still continued to do it. So I guess it didn't mean mug hard enough, but I couldn't believe it. We still won. And it was all good. We ended up, my wife and I thought we were supposed to be bringing pizza. We weren't. That was supposed to be the next day, but we brought a ton of pizza and so did another family. And so we had a bunch of extra pizza. And so afterwards, we were able to eat a bunch of pizza with the team that we beat. And it was a lot of fun. A lot of reconciliation happened, beautiful things. But I got to get back to this goal that Nelly scored. It's so hard for me to describe the feeling. And you might think that I'm exaggerating. I'm not. I'm really not exaggerating. I've never been more proud. And it was this weird moment where I flashed back, like once I was processing it, I flashed back to Nelly being born. And when she was born, she was our first. I'd never seen a birth other than like 7th grade health class. And if you remember that, if you were a boy, you just kind of covered your eyes and you were like, please God, please God, please. And you heard enough to know that this isn't good. So I'd never seen one. And when I saw an actual live birth in front of me and it was my daughter, I was, obviously I was so down for it. I was holding a foot, my wife's foot. I was down, dude. I was watching. I was in there. I wasn't in there, but I was like in, there. And I watched everything happen. And when her head came out, I thought, let's get it. Good job, T. We're a quarter of the way there, 3/4 of the way left. Okay. 3/4 of the baby about. The head's out. Got to get the rest of it out. I didn't know that next push, the doctor was going to pull on Nelly's head and the whole baby was going to come shooting out like a straight up slip and slide, dude. And that's what happened. So I wasn't quite ready for it. And she said, one more big push. And I was like, one more big. Out came Nelly Bell. And I put my face in my hands and I sobbed. I wept. I cried harder than I've ever cried. It was ugly cried too. Just my face was just hideous probably. Tracy was crying. I was snotting on her. I was crying on her. It was the most magical thing I've ever seen in my life. A human baby coming out of my human wife. What in the world? I don't know. I don't want to get into all this stuff right now, but to me, if I was an atheist at that moment, which I wasn't, but if I was, I would have began believing in God at that very moment because it is too magical. Anyways, I flashed back to that moment of unbelievable pride and just there's like none of this is me. This is all bigger than me. Like, we did the deed, got it done. You feel me? But outside of that, there was nothing. I had no control over any of that stuff. Okay. This was all bigger than me. And that's how I felt when she scored this goal. And I don't want to just like be dramatic about it, but when she came to us a couple months ago and said, I want to play soccer, I was kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess you can do that. Because I hate watching soccer. I really don't like it. I mean, I enjoyed watching her immensely, but outside of that, I just don't like watching soccer. No offense to anybody who does like it. I don't really watch a lot of sports other than disc golf, and you can make fun of me all you want for that, but it is what it is. Anyways, when she said that, it was kind of like, oh, cool, okay, yeah. Yeah, if you want to play soccer, that's fine. And two, she's sick, so like who knows if she really meant it. But she did. We signed her up for it, and she went to practice, and that first game, I remember I kept getting on her. Like I knew something about something. I was like, you gotta kick the ball hard. You gotta run to the ball and push people to kick it in that goal. Like even when she was goalie, I'm like, when you catch it, run it down the field, throw it in the goal, do whatever you gotta do, get that thing in the goal. I didn't know what I was talking about. And I had this quick pride and reality check just inside of me where I was like, dude, shut up. You don't even know what you're talking about, dude. Let the coach handle this. You are here to support your kid and encourage her. That is my role. And to parents of kids playing sports, your role is to encourage them, support them, love them, pick them up when they fall down, not in the middle of the game because they might get a penalty or something. But if they have a rough game, pick them up afterwards. Okay? Take them out for ice cream, a snow cone, something like that. That's your job. Your job is to not force your kids to do all kinds of stuff, force your kids into sports, and force your kids to just train and do all this stuff. Let them do what they want to do with the sports. If they don't want to play a certain sport, they don't have to play a certain sport. If they want to play this sport, let them play that sport. Unless it's like dangerous for their health or something, they got a condition or you don't trust the sport or whatever, then, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say here. I'm saying I had this realization when she scored that goal that I had no control over any of that. She worked hard. She practiced. She stayed after school on Wednesdays and practiced and went over these plays and memorized them and came home, and she went in the backyard and she pretended like she was playing against people and was kicking it around. She would play against me sometimes and stuff. But that got old because daddy doesn't really know what he's doing with soccer. And, she did that. And it was the first time that I've seen her really, probably not the first time, but it was kind of the most epic moment or display of this, that she had done this on her own and I had nothing to do with it other than saying, yeah, you can play. It was incredible. It was the most incredible feeling and sense of pride that I've ever had. That's my daughter. That's my Nellie. And I wanted to wear I have a shirt that says, that's my girl Nellie, with the little girl kicking it, that my good friend Kelly Walls made for me and my wife. Shout out to Kelly. And man, gosh, I can't even, right now it like makes me want to cry because I see so many parents just, beating it into their kids' heads. You got to be the best. You got to do this. And you got to play this and whatever. And the kids, man, it's damaging. It's damaging to them. And I don't want to do that to her. If she wants to play a sport, you play it. And I'm going to hold you accountable. If you're supposed to be training or practicing, I'm going to hold you accountable. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying just don't be these parents that are just every single night of the week, they're this and that, and running here, running there, running here, running there. Let them be kids. Let them be kids and pick what they want to do. And then let them trust in the coach to train them and teach them that. And you can practice with them at home, but you are there for support and encouragement. That is it. And a good pick-me-up ice cream cone if they lose. And a good congratulations ice cream cone if they win. Okay? That's it. That's my encouragement to you as parents. And man, congratulations, Nelly. You don't listen to this podcast either. But when you're a teenager looking back on the embarrassing stories I told, this one wasn't so embarrassing, right, buddy? I love you. Little Nell Bell, little cutie pie. And last but not least, I'm just going to touch real quick on the other night. Like I said, we got a cold, and the cold was snuck in, unbeknownst to us, in the form of just a little cute baby named Georgia. And she carried this cold into the house, and she infected all of us. She infected every single one of us. And I don't resent her for that. I love her so much. She's super cute, even when she's super snotty and crying throughout the night. But the other night, about 5 a.m, she would not go back to sleep because she was super congested. And this is a plug for a product called the Nose Frida. I was going to bring it on video and show it to you, but I don't know if that's legal for me to do or not. Probably is, but I didn't want to chance it. And so I'm just going to describe it to you. Basically, in other cultures, a lot of other cultures, when their kid is stopped up, when their nose is stopped up, and spoiler alert, this is going to be gross. So if you're really grossed out easily, skip this part. End it now, because I'm ending it after the podcast. I love you. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dad Imperfect. Subscribe on YouTube. Share this video. Write, review, and rate the audio podcast on iTunes. All of those fun things. See you later. Love ya. I'm going to continue on into this little story. Basically, in other cultures, when their little baby's nose is stopped up, because babies can't blow their nose or sniff, they suck the snot out of their nose with their mouth, and then they just spit it out. Okay? Now, if you have ever had a baby who is stopped up and is not sleeping because of it and is screaming bloody murder, you, like my wife and I, may have been in a situation yourself where you thought, I'm going to suck the snot out of this baby's nose because it's going to mean it is going to sleep better. I don't mean to call it an it, but this boy or girl is going to sleep better if I do this. And I remember one night when Nellie was an infant, it was our first time experiencing this, her first cold, and my wife and I were just like zombies. And we were like, oh, I'm so tired. And then we spent about 20 minutes going, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to suck it out of her nose. I'm going to suck the snot out of her nose. And then I'd get down to it and I'd be like, I can't do it. I can't do it. And then Tracy would be like, okay, I'm going to do it. I can do it. And then she'd go down. She's worse with snot than I am. So she was like, she'd go down and she'd almost do it. And I can't, you got to do it. I can't, you got to do it. You got to do it. And then we went back and forth for like 20 minutes and we never did it. But my wife, being the wonderful researcher that she is, found this product called the Nose Frida, Frieda. And Nose Frida, if you're listening right now or watching, I would love to advertise this product on every one of my episodes. So if you want to talk to your boy, Joel Frame the Imperfect Dad, about this, just let me know, because I am a fan and my wife and I are supporters of this product. It is basically this little cartridge, this little tube that kind of comes to a little point on the end with a hole. It's not a sharp point, but it has a little hole in the end about the size of the nostril. And then it has a filter in it, and then this long tube that you put up to the baby's nose, and you suck through this tube, and the air of you sucking in sucks the snot out of the baby's nose. Now, none of this gets up the tube. It goes onto that little cartridge. It stops it from coming up. I know this sounds absolutely disgusting, and describing it to you makes me want to barfola, but it is a lifesaver. Lifesaver. The other night, or the other morning, was like 5 a.m. I was having a field day, dude. I was like going for points. My wife was like, okay, I think she's good. We can go back to sleep. She's asleep now. And I'm like, no, I'm going to try and get like even more out. I want to get the biggest one out that I've gotten out ever. And so I kept going, and it was amazing. But anyways, sorry, that's super gross. But actually, I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry. It is what it is, man. Our babies get snotty noses. We got to get it out. Have you ever tried to use one of those stupid little bulbs? It doesn't work. It doesn't work because all you have is the size of the bulb, and when you let it go, it's not enough to do anything. You couldn't even suck an ant up into it, let alone, snot that's in their nose. You can't do it. You got to be able to go like that and get it out. Okay? Nose Frida, look into it. I promise it'll change your baby's life and your life. And they're not sponsoring me at this moment. I wish they did. That would be awesome. They are not. This is just a personal plug. And this is also where I get off. Sorry, I've gone a little longer than I intended to, but man, I was feeling good in this podcast. It was a wonderful weekend. We have hit over 100 likes and followers on the Facebook page. We are almost at 100 on YouTube. Please subscribe on YouTube. It helps so much. I am not above groveling at your feet. Okay? If you were here right now, I'd be down at your feet saying, please subscribe. Please share this video on your Facebook page. It's so easy. It's so easy to do. Just share it. And if you're listening on iTunes, if you could take just 2 minutes and just give a little star rating, preferably 5-star, but you do you. Okay? You do you, homie. Give a little 5-star rating and write a quick review. It helps a lot. Helps a lot. And so, anyways, like I said before, to all of the people who couldn't handle the gross conversation, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dad Imperfect. DADIMPERFECT. Okay? Make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Imperfect Dad, and share this video. This is my stop. I love you so very much. It's ridiculous. And thank you. This was episode 5, y'all. 5 episodes in? You kidding me right now? What am I, a professional podcaster? I think maybe so. I love you guys. Want to give a shout out to my brother and his wife, Eli and Lauren. Thanks for your constant support and encouragement. Love you guys. My parents, their names are Mom and Dad, and my Aunt Myra, and my in-laws, Kathy, Don, golly, Clay, Tiff, Joe, Kels. Just my fam. They're supporting like crazy, and it means the world to me. All of my friends who are supporting, love you all. You have been such an encouragement. Anyways, let's keep this train rolling. Love you all. The Imperfect Dad signing out. Joel Frame, we out here, bruh.
He's your dad.